Do they really color match?
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com. And in this video, we're gonna see if the new Army Painter Fanatic Paints really do color match to the sprays as well as their air paints line that they put out a while ago. Because I was a little concerned about this, right? Because when they announced that the Warpaints line was going away, I painted all my Custodies with the Warpaints line. I thinned them down, I airbrushed them, I painted them on where, so I'm like, well, what do I do if I need more paint and I run out of what I have left over? Do they really color match? So Army Painter was nice enough to see if I wanted to try out some of the new Fanatic paints. And I was like, heck yeah, because let's face it, if you've been in this hobby for a certain amount of time, you probably remember the Citadel Foundation paints. And those were super dope for their time because, again, they're more highly pigmented paint that was meant to go on over black or over darker colors in one coat, or just made to go on in one coat in general, right? But then, let's face it, Games Workshop got a little greedy. They got rid of them because they wanted to come out with these mega paint rack sets of everything, and here we are, right? But now, the Army Painter edition actually makes sense because, yeah, it's one coat, but this is all you have to do, and you can either put these over the speed paint, or you can just start out with these and wash them and be done, or just start out with these and end with these if you really want, and leave the black lines in the corner from the primer. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. So I think this is going to be really cool to check out how they actually go on and how well they kind of coat and just the overall impression of them. Now, again, I'm probably gonna say this disclaimer throughout this video. I am not a scientist. I'm not a laboratory. I just know what I know from my gut. So once we do this and I take a look at it, I'm gonna be like, all right, well, this is what I think. This isn't scientific. Just judge for yourself from the colors and the spray patterns and things that we're gonna show you here, because I think it's very important that you make your own assumption. I may or may not like it, I don't know. But I just wanted to throw that caveat out there. So let's get to it. Let's take a look at the paint and kind of go over this new Fanatic line.
So these new Fanatic paints are pretty interesting because they, instead of doing a triad, they have like a range right here. Now this is the strong pale blues range, which you can see in the little arrow indicates where this ultramarine blue falls on this. Well, it's not really a triad, but I guess they're calling it the triad highlights or triad color primed matte. Oh, because of the spray paint. Well, maybe we should check that too, because I think I have some of these colors still in spray. But so if you have the rack, you can basically pick up all 6 of these if you want to do some layer highlighting, or you can just kind of stay in these ranges here, or these ranges here kind of go in the middle. So it gives you more of a variety than a traditional triad. And then over here, they give you the actual color. This is a strong purplish blue. So if you were to be like, hey, what is ultramarine blue? Well, it's a strong purplish blue. And then, some other information, shake well. Now this also has the mixing balls inside of it, which we're gonna find out right now if they if they did their job there. I think just to test out a few of the colors here, we're going to go ahead and just dab out a few of this paint. Oh wow, this comes out pretty good. And if I was doing an extended paint session, I might use a wet palette. I don't super use wet palettes all that often, but sometimes it's definitely worth doing it. So let's put out the blue there and kind of see how this goes, and grab us a nice brush. So the cool thing is, when you use a little water bottle lid, you can just kind of smooth out the paint and grab exactly how much you need right on this, as it's almost its own little palette. But let's see how much it takes to get some coverage. And this isn't even primered, so I'm not even sure if it's going to. I didn't get that much paint on the brush. That's maybe the problem. There we go. So this is pretty intense. Like there's a nice, you get really good coverage just out of one little dab of this paint here. Wow, that's pretty significant, so I'm definitely liking that so far. And here's Demonic Yellow. That seems to cover a lot better than the red, but I don't think I worked the red as much. Oh wow. Pretty impressive. So now let's see how they airbrush. Now I imagine that they're gonna be a little bit thicker. So what I'm gonna do is add in a little bit more flow improver into this, probably filling it up to the lip in there of just flow improver. And then we'll add in, let's start with the yellow here. Just gonna add in a couple drops of yellow just till it fills it up. Maybe something like that, just to give you a better idea what we're looking at. And then we're gonna take our brush, we're gonna mix it all up and kind of see how it looks, because we're looking for something that's like a milky consistency here. And let's see what we got. That looks pretty close. I think it might be a little too thick. I think I'm gonna put one more drop of this in here. Some airbrush flow improver. So mix it up a little bit more. And I think we got a winner right there. I think this is gonna airbrush well, so let's try it. Give it a good little backflush, get some mixing going. We're just gonna hit this paper right here. It's looking pretty good. Let's grab something else and try it out. Just grab a paper towel. I don't have any minis set quite yet, but here's just a normal paper towel. There we go. Nice solid base coat right there. So I think these will airbrush just fine. So now let's compare the airbrush to the Fanatic Paint On to the color primer and see how they stack up. Now it's time for some air paints. Now these are a little bit easier to use if you haven't used these before. They pretty much already thin down about as much as you need. Very little flow improver has to be put in here. Now I will say this, I noticed when I was using that yellow that I probably thinned it down a bit too much. The Fanatic paints seem to not need that much thinner, to be quite honest with you. I was really surprised because I had to go back and redo the yellow on our little test board because it was a little too thin. And I was like, huh, that's weird. So for the red and the blue, I did not use that much thinner in there. So they are very comparable to what I just did in here is how you should do it. And this spray is pretty good. So let's go here. So there's our test spray for our Fanatic, and now we'll go sideways just so we keep it all straight. And it behaves about the same. You know, it wants to kind of stack there, and we'll let that dry for a few minutes and see how it comes out. So here's where the proof, I guess we can get, or the comparison of these color matches to each other. We've got everything right here. I took it off the mounting board I had it on. Now we can kind of see. So this is the primer here. You can see the pure red primer, which we have right here, and I sprayed that outside, of course. And then you've got all the way over here to the ultramarine blue primer, which is over here on this side. So, you know, this one obviously coated very well because the spray primer, I did just a couple passes right there. But then we get into this area here. And like I said, the yellow I thinned it down a little too much with the airbrush thinner. So you definitely want to use just the same amount of airbrush thinner if you use airbrush thinner as any other airbrush paint out there, because you can see when I made it up and I just did it like normal, it still coated very well here. Now this is just one, you know, basically one solid coat, not waiting for it to dry. If you want to get better coverage, you can obviously wait for it to dry and come back. And then these vertical lines here are the paints painted on. Now unfortunately I didn't have any yellow primer, but that being said, I think you can kind of see here between the other colors that it matches very well. And then down here, the horizontal lines, that's the actual air paints that you can buy from Army Painter as well. So it doesn't matter if you airbrush the Fanatic paint or you brush it on, it's all very close.
just in one coat right here. To the fact that, you know, it's really between the differences when doing multiple passes with the airbrush paint, it's very indistinguishable to the naked eye, I feel like, and especially in the camera here, it all very looks similar. Is it 100% match? You know, I'm not set up to show you guys that. We don't have that kind of equipment, but to me, I'd be super happy with this if I was painting my miniatures, and very happy in the fact that it is even this close, if not 100%. It could very well be 100%. It's just very impossible to tell with what we have here between the variants of, you know, all the equipment and then also the video and the editing is going to come after I edit this. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and I think this is going to be great, especially when you consider how well this stuff goes on to just even something that's not even primered right there. Like, that's pretty awesome, to be quite honest, and I think a lot of people are going to really like this paint going forward. Well, overall, I think it's safe to say that no matter which of these products you're using, the new Fanatic paint, the air paint, or the spray primers, you're gonna have a very close match. It may or may not be 100%. We don't have the scientific, like, comparison setup and everything here, and we didn't do it on like 20 different miniatures of different primer coats and things like that. But I think just looking at the ways we did it, the difference is gonna be very small, that if you even recognize it with the naked eye. So I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that, and like I said, I think it's gonna go a long ways to helping everybody kind of keep their armies and their paint schemes going into the future, you know. So when you can't buy the old, just the war paint, and now all we have is the Fanatic, which seems to coat amazingly. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching our color match, I guess, deep dive to see if these new paints will still live up to all the hype and, you know, match the existing paints out there from Army Painter. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.